For whatever reason, my entire life, I have had this ability to see things when my eyes are closed that eventually happens. I don't know why I have this ability. I don't know where it came from, but this has always been something that I was ashamed of, I was afraid of, and I was terrified of. Being a child, trying to figure out what this was and why this is happening to me was very difficult. And it became more difficult when I went to my parents to try to figure out what was going on. And instead of them attempting to help me, they kind of scared me and pushed me into this place of being terrified of myself. The only person that was interested in this part of me was my grandfather, and the reason he was so interested in it is because he considered himself an empath as well. So he was the only one that believed in it. Most of the family thought anything my granddad was believed in was crazy. I was the only one that understood him, and I kind of felt like he understood me. He was a man in my life that I ranked very high. I'll give you an example of some things that I saw growing up. One night I had a nightmare that I was thrown into a dumpster and a monster jumped inside the dumpster and killed me. Maybe a year later, I wasn't thrown in a dumpster. I obviously did not die, but I was sexually assaulted at the dumpster. My older brother on my dad's side, we looked just alike. We looked like twins, although he was much older than me. I think he was maybe, I don't know, I want to say like 15 to 20 years older than me. We looked like twins. We just had this connection that mostly twins have. I was taking my senior pictures and I was exhausted, and I remember I yawned and I closed my eyes, and when I closed my eyes, I saw him get hit. And to this day, I still got the negative of the picture of when I opened my eyes from seeing that, and I just felt this excruciating pain instantly. And when I got home, I told my mom. She fussed at me for even thinking something like that. Nothing happened to him, blah, 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 blah. And later that night, we got the call that, wasn't even later that night. It was that afternoon, we got the call that he was in a very bad accident and we needed to go to the hospital, and he died 2 days later. A good thing is one of my best friends was pregnant, and she didn't tell nobody. She was trying. She didn't tell anybody she was pregnant, and I'm her best friend. She tells me everything. She didn't even tell me. And one day we were randomly texting each other back and forth, and I told her, I said, so when the baby due? And she was just like, what are you talking about? I said, you're pregnant. And I said, you're pregnant with twins. And she was like, what are you talking about? And I told her, I said, I dreamed it. I saw us on the deck of your house with 2 babies. Although in my dream, I knew what the sex of the babies was, I didn't tell her because I didn't want to ruin that moment for her, but she was in fact pregnant. And now I'm an auntie of a gorgeous niece and a handsome nephew. Yeah, I've seen a lot of things. I have this ability to connect with people in an emotional way that I don't understand, because most of my life I was emotionless when it came to myself, when it came to what I felt or what I gave off to others. I was very emotionless. But when it came to other people, for whatever reason, I always can sympathize with them. I always had empathy. I had this ability to feel when they're not okay. And I never knew why. And having that portion of this is a great thing, because it helps people in my life. For example, one of my friends, she was going through some stuff. I'm not going to say what she was going through, but one day I just randomly text her like, "You okay?" And she was like, "Yeah." I said, "No, you're not. What's going on?" And she said, "What?" And I said, "No, you're not. You're going through something. You might as well tell me what's going on." And it kind of freaked her out, but she told me. And the reason I knew she was going through something, because like 3 or 4 days prior, I had this dream of her crying, and in the dream of her crying, I saw heartbreak, I saw rings, I saw water, I saw the rings and the broken heart going, like kind of floating away, and I saw the image of her. So I knew she wasn't okay, and I kind of knew why, but being an empath helped me be there for her, because she was trying so hard to deal with it on her own, and sometimes you can't do that in some situations. Sometimes you need somebody else. The weird thing about being an empath is you can see stuff, you can feel stuff. It's easy for you to sympathize and empathize with people. You have all of those abilities to do all of those things, but you don't have the ability to do anything selfishly to yourself, or for yourself. So for me, I feel like if I'm gonna have this ability, why can't I dream winning lottery tickets so I can, live this fabulous housewife life? Like, why can't I do that? I can't do that. I can't see into the future and see what my future holds. I can't do anything like that. So for me, it's a very scary thing. And another reason why being an empath was always something that I was afraid of and I was terrified of, and I'm still kind of nervous about, is because in my past, when I shared this part of me with people, it scared them and they just pulled away from me. Amazing friendships I had, they stopped being friends with me because they thought I was some type of monster, or they thought, I was into witchcraft, or some of my family members are Creole, so they thought, I, did the whole voodoo doll thing. It's a lot of assumptions, and that's just not the case for me. So I always tried to hide this part of myself. And the only reason why I'm at this place where I'm discovering this part of myself and I'm allowing myself to be interested in this part is because of my wife. I made the conscious decision for myself and for my energy and for the love of myself, which rose into the love of my family, to face the traumas and the negative things in my life that put me in positions where I've become a cold person. I became a person that I did not know. And in doing that, I ran away from a lot of things in my life. And this part of me is something that I ran away from as well. And one thing that my wife taught me is that, and this is something that she's learned herself on her journey of rediscovering herself, is that you can't have a completed story if you choose to ignore some of the chapters. In order for your story to be complete, you have to walk through all of the chapters. You have to face all of the chapters. And what I was doing in my life, I was start chapter 1, and then I'll skip to chapter 7, and then I'll go to chapter 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, chapter 33, and because I took all of those shortcuts, I didn't allow myself a pace or a place to fully heal, to fully function, to fully be myself, because I wasn't acknowledging myself fully, if that makes sense. So yeah, being my empath journey is, instead of helping other people like it usually have or like it used to, is actually helping me discover myself. I'm not going to say I'm still not afraid of it. I'm afraid of it because I'm a control freak and I have no control of it. And I am terrified of things that I cannot control. So I'm definitely still afraid of it. I'm afraid of what it means. I'm terrified of, is this part of me tapping into something negative, because I have so much negativity attached to me. So I'm definitely afraid of it, but it's something that I'm absolutely excited to learn about. So if you are an empath, or you know someone who's an empath, or maybe you just research what being an empath is, please comment below and give me some pointers. Let's talk. Tell me about yourself. Tell me how you deal with it. I really want to know. Until next time,